Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm Mira, ready to dive headfirst into another adventure. Ooh.
And I'm Leo, prepped with coffee and a healthy dose of sarcasm. Let's do this.
Last week, I tried making Brigade IRO, the famous Brazilian chocolate treat, and it turned into a total comedy show. I thought, how hard can it be? Famous last words. Right. Famous last words. Right.
Oh, I can only imagine the chaos. But hey, IRO's supposed to be easy, but I bet you found a way to complicate it.
You have no idea. I somehow managed to turn my kitchen into a chocolate explosion zone. There was cocoa powder everywhere. I looked like I'd been wrestling a chocolate monster and lost. Oops.
Sounds like my kind of party. I once tried making Indonesia rendang, ended up setting off the smoke alarm. The fire department almost showed up thinking I was burning down the building.
Oh my god, Leo. Did you at least get to eat it? Imagine the headlines. Comedian's rendang recipe causes emergency evacuation.
Sadly, no. The rendang was more charcoal than beef. So, I ordered takeout, and everyone was happy. I learned my lesson: stick to comedy, leave the cooking to the professionals.
But hey, at least we have some funny stories to tell, right? So, what countries are we tackling today?
Today, my friends, we're heading to South America and Southeast Asia as we compare Brazil and Indonesia. I hear Brazil is like one huge dense party. I'm excited!
And Indonesia, with its thousands of islands, sounds like a real-life treasure hunt. I wonder if I can find a real treasure. That's my main goal for this trip. This brought to you by our friends over at Getafe. So a huge shout out to them.
Indeed, we are always grateful. Getafe helps make all this possible, so check them out for your travel planning needs. We will mention Getafe later.
Let's get started. I'm already picturing myself dancing the samba in Rio and exploring ancient temples in Bali. Ready to jump into the wild world of Definition.
Buckle up. Folks, Mira's enthusiasm is infectious, but let's see if we can keep this discussion from going completely off the rails. We're looking at safety, so maybe a little seriousness is in order. Just a little.
Oops. Did someone say party pooper? Just kidding, Leo? But seriously, safety matters. I mean, who wants to visit a place where they're constantly looking over their shoulder?
Yeah. No one wants their vacation memories to involve a close encounter with a pickpocket or worse. So, let's dive in, shall we? Brazil and Indonesia. Both beautiful, both with their, shall we say, unique safety profiles.
Land of samba, carnival, and unfortunately some pretty serious crime rates. I mean, Rio de Janeiro is stunning, but exactly known for being the safest city on Earth. Wow.
True that. And it's not just Rio. Other major cities like Sao Paulo and Salvador also have high levels of violent crime, theft, and gang activity. It's a complicated issue with deep roots in poverty and inequality. Ouch.
And it's not just the big cities. Even smaller towns and rural areas can be risky, especially when it comes to petty theft and scams targeting tourists. So, do your research, folks.
Absolutely. And be aware of your surroundings. Don't flash expensive jewelry or wander into unfamiliar neighborhoods alone, especially at night. Common sense goes a long way.
Now, Indonesia, completely different vibe, right? Like, Bali is all yoga retreats and serene beaches. Seems super safe. Bye!
Hey, don't let the Instagram filters fool you, Mira. While Bali is generally quite safe, Indonesia as a whole is a massive archipelago with varying levels of crime.
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, I always forget how HUG Indonesia is. So, Bali might be chill. But what about Jakarta or Medan?
Jakarta, being a sprawling metropolis, has its share of petty crimes, scams, and traffic-related incidents. Medan, like other large cities in Sumatra, can have higher crime rates compared to Bali.
Oh, what's the deal with those scams? I'm always worried about getting ripped off. Tell me everything.
Well, overcharging tourists is a classic. Be wary of unofficial taxis, inflated prices at markets, and fake tour operators. Always negotiate and do your homework before committing to anything.
Good to know. Anything else we should be aware of in Indonesia, safety-wise?
Natural disasters are a big one. Indonesia is located on the Ring of Fire, so earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions are a real threat. Pay attention to local warnings and have a plan in case of an emergency.
Okay, that's serious. Wow. So, both Brazil and Indonesia have their safety challenges. It's all about being informed and prepared, right?
Precisely. Whether sipping caipirinhas in Rio or exploring ancient temples in Java, a little extra caution can make a big difference.
And maybe packing a good self-defense class is not a bad idea. Just in case you face some pickpocket or scam.
Well, a self-defense class certainly couldn't hurt. But honestly, being aware and avoiding risky situations is usually the best defense. Wow.
Basic tips to stay safe in Brazil.
Avoid big displays of wealth, be wary of A-teamers at night, and use reputable transportation. Plus, learn a few basic phrases in Portuguese. It shows respect and can help you navigate situations more easily.
And for Indonesia, always stay updated for natural disasters. Use registered tour guides and don't trust anyone with crazy deals. And just relax. You're on vacation after all. Ooh.
Exactly. Do you agree, listeners? We hope we have helped you. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube for more. Wow.
Okay, Leo. Political stability and social harmony. Sounds like a snooze fest, right? But seriously, it's kinda crucial if you're thinking of living somewhere. So, Brazil versus Indonesia Chachagat.
Ace snooze fast. Mira, you wound me. Political stability is comedy gold. Just think of all the absurd situations that arise. But fine. Let's talk Brazil and Indonesia. It's now samba and serene temples, is it?
Samba and serene temples. I like that image better already. But yeah, reality check time. So Brazil, big country, lots of history, lots of opinions. How does it all gel politically?
Well, Brazil's had its share of political drama, impeachments, corruption, but it's like a soap opera, but with higher stakes. But despite the theatrics, the institutions mostly hold, right?
Mostly being the key word there, Leo. It can feel like a roller coaster with different parties swinging in and out. Does that impact daily life for the average person?
Depends on who you ask. Some folks get riled up about politics, others are too busy trying to make a living. You'll definitely hear passionate debates at the churrascaria though.
Okay, churrascaria debates, I can picture that. Spicy politics with spicy meat. What about social harmony in Brazil? Is it all caipirinha-ness and carnival vibes? Whoa.
Brazil's a melting pot, mirror lots of different ethicities and cultures, but that can also lead to tensions. Inequality is a big issue. It's not always sunshine and smiles for everyone.
That's a heavy topic. Does that manifest as social unrest or protests? Or is it more subtle?
Both, actually. You see protests about social justice issues, but there's also a lot of everyday microaggressions and prejudices. They're a complicated mix. Ouch.
Brazil's got a vibrant but volatile political scene and social harmony that's still a work in progress. Now, let's hop over to Indonesia. What's the vibe there?
Indonesia's fascinating, Mira. It's the world's largest Muslim-majority country, but also incredibly diverse. Thousands of islands, hundreds of languages.
So, how do they keep it all together? Is the political scene relatively stable, or is it equally dramatic as Brazil?
They've had their share of challenges for sure. Transitioning to democracy after years of authoritarian rule hasn't been easy. Plus, regional tensions and separatist movements pop up from time to time.
Regional tensions. Always a tricky one. Does that translate to any kind of threat to public safety?
In some areas, definitely. But for most of the country, it's peaceful. The government works hard to maintain unity, but it's a delicate balancing act.
A balancing act with thousands of islands. And what about social harmony in Indonesia? How does all that diversity play out? Ooh.
Indonesia has a concept called pan-Castile. It's like their national philosophy, emphasizing unity and diversity. It sounds good on paper, but there are definitely challenges.
Challenges like, come on, spill the tea, Leo.
Religious tolerance is a big one. While Indonesia is officially pluralistic, there are tensions between different religious groups. You see it in some local laws and social attitudes.
Navigating religious sensitivities is key in Indonesia. Gotcha. Anything else expats should be aware of?
Social harmony in Indonesia also depends on where you are. Bali is very different from, say, Ace. What flies in one place might not fly in another.
Location, location, location. Sounds like doing your research is extra important to Indonesia.
Exactly. Both Brazil and Indonesia have incredible things to offer, but it's good to be aware of the political and social landscape before you jump in. Like and subscribe if you agree, folks. Oh.
Click those buttons? Knowing what you're getting into is half the battle. So, thanks for the reality check, Leo. Ready to move on to the next topic? Alright, listeners, let's chat about something super practical money. We're diving into economic conditions and the cost of living in Brazil versus Indonesia. Are you ready to see where your wallet might breeze you? Oh.
Money talks, Mira, and sometimes it shouts expensive. Let's see if Brazil's samba or the more Indonesia's island vibes are easier on the bank account. I'm bracing myself for some sticker shock somewhere.
Brazil, the land of carnival and caipirinhas. Might sound like a non-stop party. But how's the economic scene? Well, it's mixed bag, Leo. Expect some samba steps forward, and maybe a little cha-cha back.
Cha-cha back. I like that. Always keeping us on our toes. Brazil. My travel instincts tell me vibrant culture often means a bit of an investment. But let's see.
Brazil has seen its share of ups and downs. Inflation can be a bit of a roller coaster, so X need to be savvy about budgeting. Whoa, but hey, that just adds to the adventure, right? Whoa, but hey, that just adds to the adventure, right?
Adventure budgeting, Mira. Now there's a concept for a travel blog. I can see the headlines surviving Rio and Re's and resourcefulness. I'm just spitballing ideas here.
But let's get real, the cost of living can vary wildly. Cities like Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro are gonna hit your wallet harder than a soccer ball to the face. Ouch, think New York prices, but with a Brazilian twist. Wow.
Ouch is right. I've heard those cities are where the big bucks flow, but also where they quickly disappear. So it's more of an investment than a saving. That is a risk I wouldn't take on myself.
Don't let that scare you off. Smaller cities and towns offer a much more affordable lifestyle. You can live like a king or a queen on a much smaller budget. Plus, who needs skyscrapers when you've got stunning beaches?
Beaches beat buildings any day. So, Brazil's like a tiered system splurge in the cities, saved by the shore. Got it. Oh, time for Indonesia, land of 1,000 islands.
Bingo. Now let's hop over to Indonesia. This archipelago nation has its own economic rhythm. Think gamelan music versus samba, both beautiful, but totally different vibes.
Gamelan music, yes. More chaotic, maybe. I'm already picturing myself haggling for batik in a serene market. Will my bank account stay as serene as that picture, though?
Indonesia generally offers a lower than Brazil, especially in cities like Jakarta or Yogyakarta. You can find amazing food, rent, and transportation at prices that'll make you do a double take. Wow.
Double take? Now that's saying something. I'm already hearing the words budget paradise echoing in my mind. But tell me, Mira, what's the catch? There's always a catch.
Well, the job market might not be as robust as in Brazil, depending on your field. And infrastructure outside the main cities can be a little rustic. But hey, that's part of the charm, right?
Rustic charm, I can dig it. As long as the Wi-Fi is strong enough for my Netflix binges, I'm good. I'm just kidding. Still, I'm on the hook.
But seriously, Indonesia can be an incredible value for expats. You can live comfortably, explore stunning landscapes, and immerse yourself in a rich culture without breaking the bank. Wow.
I'm starting to lean towards Indonesia myself. I can handle the rustic charm as long as I get enough vacation for luxury travels. But seriously though, which one wins the financial sanity award?
Okay, drumroll please. If you're on a tight budget and looking for a vibrant, affordable lifestyle, Indonesia definitely takes the crown. Oh, but if you're seeking a wider range of job opportunities and don't mind a high cost of living, Brazil might be your jam. Aha!
Jam. And, as in, I'm jamming to the sound of my bank account draining in Rio. Alright, Indonesia it is for me. I'm already planning my trip. Whoa, Jet Off AI should totally organize one. What do you think?
A Jet Off AI adventure to Indonesia sounds amazing. But remember, folks, it's all about what you value most. Do you prefer beaches and budget-friendly living, or bustling cities and diverse career options? Wow.
True that, Mir. And hey, if you like what we're doing here, give us a thumbs up on YouTube. It helps us keep the podcast lights on, and maybe even afford a trip to Bali.
Okay, Leo. Accommodation options and quality in Brazil versus Indonesia. Sounds like a real estate showdown. So, what's an expat gonna find when they land in Rio versus Jakarta?
Mira, it's less showdown and more cultural immersion with varying degrees of plumbing. In Brazil, you've got everything from beachfront apartments in Ipanema too, shall we say. Rustic favela dwellings. Quality varies wildly.
Rustic favela dwellings, that's putting it mildly. Wow. So, expect a gamble. What about the penthouses with a view types? I'm imagining Caipirinha and Ness on a balcony overlooking Copacabana.
Caipirinha and Ness are definitely on the menu, but maybe inspect the balcony first. Seriously though, those high-end apartments exist, but they come with a hefty price tag. Think Miami prices, but with samba music.
Samba music included, I like it. But what if you're not rolling in Miami money? What's the average Joe? Or should I say Zay? Gonna find for a reasonable price?
Well, Zay's gonna find smaller apartments in slightly less glamorous neighborhoods. Still, decent quality, just not Instagram influencer level. Plus, you might get used to the sound of chickens in the morning.
Chicken's okay, Indonesia's turn. Are we talking Bali villas versus jungle huts? I'm picturing Eat, Pray, Love, Meat Survivor.
You're not far off. Indonesia's the land of extremes. You can rent a luxurious villa in Seminyak with a private pool, or a basic room in a cost boarding house for next to nothing.
Is that like the Indonesian version of a college dorm? I'm picturing communal kitchens and questionable cleanliness. Wow.
Questionable is a kind word. Some cost tests are clean and well maintained, but others, let's just say bring your own disinfectant. On the plus side, you'll make friends with the local geckos.
Geckos are nature's roommates, right? So, what about Jakarta? Is it all skyscrapers and luxury apartments, or do the eat trail of options exist there too?
Jakarta has skyscrapers, sure, but the average accommodation is more high-rise condo with city views than beachfront paradise. You can find decent apartments, but traffic is your real roommate there. Ouch!
Traffic, the universal roommate nobody wants. What about Jakarta or other less touristy areas? Are we talking better deals and fewer geckos?
Jakarta is where you find the real deals. You can get a lovely house with a garden for a fraction of Jakarta's price. Geckos are still included, but they're more polite, I promise.
Okay, final question. If someone's looking at Jet Off AI for a long-term stay, what keywords should they be searching for to find quality accommodation in either country? Wow.
For Brazil, search for apartamento mobilia do furnished apartment in reputable neighborhoods, and always check reviews. For Indonesia, Villasu, a rental villa in Bali or Rumah contract and house for rent in Java. And remember, pictures can lie.
All right, Leo. Let's dive into the bureaucratic jungle of getting visas and navigating official procedures. Brazil versus Indonesia. Who wins the least headache award?
Bureaucratic jungle, Mira? More like a paperwork theme park where the rides are slow and the lines are long. Oh, and ready to rumble. So Brazil and Indonesia. Ah? Let's see who makes it easier to jump through their hoops.
Well, Brazil is pretty open for tourism. Lots of countries get visa-free entry for up to 90 days. Just show up, samba a little, and you're in. And you're in.
Samba little. Wow. You're making it sound like you can just dance your way through customs. If only. Indonesia is also fairly tourist-friendly, with visa-free options for many nationalities, but sometimes it feels like they change the rules all the way.
And for those who need a visa, Brazil's online application system can be pretty straightforward. Sometimes, if the internet gods are smiling upon you.
If the internet gods are smiling upon you, that's the key phrase, Mira. In Indonesia, the online visa process can feel like a choose-your-own-adventure novel, and dupes. If you select the wrong option, it is straight to the back of the queue.
Now, if you're thinking about moving to Brazil, things get a bit trickier. Residency permits involve proving you're bringing in money or have a job offer. Be prepared for some serious paperwork.
Oh, residency in Indonesia. It's like trying to find a himich only locals know about. Getting a KITIS temporary stay permit involves sponsorships. Or marrying a local. Oh, and expect lots of stamps.
And in Brazil, don't forget the CPF Cadastro de Pessoas Físicas as your tax identification number. You'll need it for everything from opening a bank account to buying a phone. Ouch!
Ah, taxes. In Indonesia, understanding the tax system is like learning a new language, one full of confusing acronyms and regulations. Whoa, best to hire a local expert unless you want a headache.
For Brazil, make sure all your documents are properly translated into Postal D. Otherwise, you might be making a return writ to the consulate.
Document translation is key. In Indonesia, getting things notarized can feel like a treasure hunt. You run around town trying to find the right official, armed with copies and hoping your photocopy is good enough for acceptance.
Okay, Lear. Indonesia does sound complex, but don't forget about Brazil's bureaucracy. Getting anything done with the government can feel like wading through molasses.
Wading through molasses. Aha! That sums it up perfectly. Still, in Indonesia, dealing with government offices often involves knowing someone or being patient enough to wait seemingly forever.
And in Brazil, you might encounter different rules depending on which state you're in. Decentralization can be a blessing and a curse.
Oh yes, decentralization. Each region of Indonesia has its own quirks and ways of doing things. It's what makes the country so diverse, but also so potentially confusing when navigating official procedures.
Okay, so what's the bottom line for anyone looking to move to either Brazil or Indonesia?
Prepare for paperwork, potential delays, and maybe learning a little bit of the language. A local fixer or consultant is worth their weight in gold. Oh, and pack your patience.
Agreed. It sounds like both countries have their unique bureaucratic charms or challenges.
Charms and challenges indeed. If you enjoy a bit of adventure with your paperwork, both Brazil and Indonesia will give you a run for your money. Oh, just remember to breathe and maybe bring a stress ball.
Alright. Let's dive into access to and quality of health services in Brazil and Indonesia. Healthcare always a fun topic, right? It's like figuring out if you're getting caipirinha or Jomo for your ailments.
Caipirinha for ailments? Sounds like my kind of healthcare system. But seriously, Mira, this is crucial stuff. We're talking life and death. You're not just whether you get a good tan on Copacabana or a killer sunset at Bali.
You're right, Lear. Always bringing it back to the serious side. Okay, so Brazil has a universal healthcare system called SUS Sistema Único de Saúde. Sounds fancy, but does it deliver?
Fancy name indeed. Indeed. I've heard mixed reviews. It's like that street food stall that everyone raves about, that then you get food poisoning. Is it amazing or a gamble?
Oh, that's a bit harsh. Okay, it offers free healthcare to everyone, but access can be tricky. Think long wait times for specialists in crowded hospitals, especially in big cities. Ouch.
See, my food poisoning analogy was too far off. In Indonesia, they have a similar universal health coverage system called JK and Shamiamin and KES Nacional. Can you even pronounce that after a few bintingas?
German, NKEE, set and Nacional. I think I just pulled a muscle in my tongue trying to say that. So, is it better or worse than Brazil's SUS, Mr. Globetrotter?
Well, it's supposed to cover everyone too, but like Brazil, quality and access can vary wildly. It's like ordering nasi goreng. Sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's just rice.
Nasi goreng roulette. So, both countries are trying, but facing challenges. I've heard private healthcare in both can be much better, but also much pricier. Oh.
Pricier is an understatement. It's like choosing between a street-side massage and a five-star spa. Both will rub you the right way, but one empties your wallet faster than you can say so.
I like that. Okay. So for expats, it's all about weighing the options. Public system with potential headaches or private with potential heartaches from the bill. Wow.
Exactly. And don't forget the language barrier.
Good point, Leo. Knowing some Portuguese in Brazil or Bahasa Indonesia can be a lifesaver, or at least get you some sympathy from the doctor.
Sympathy points are crucial. It's like saying obrigado or terima kasih after they stick a needle in you shows you appreciate their efforts, even if you're internally screaming.
For our Jetal Fei listeners thinking of moving to Brazil or Indonesia, do your homework. Research hospitals, health insurance options, and learn some basic medical phrases. Aha!
Precisely, and maybe pack some extra strength pain relievers just in case. You never know when you'll need them, whether it's from the healthcare system or the spicy food.
You're incorrigible, Leo. But valid points all around. Healthcare a global adventure, just like everything else. If you like what you see, like it on YouTube, too.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Mira, remember to check Jedal Fei for more details and resources on healthcare for expats. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and be the first to know.
Okay, Leo. So let's talk about getting around in Brazil and Indonesia. Think of it as planes, trains, and automobiles South Edition. What's your initial take?
Well, Mira, right off the bat, you've got two massive countries, right? Brazil's like a continent in itself, and Indonesia's scattered across thousands of islands. So just logistically, Houston, we have a transportation problem.
In Brazil, you got those nice intercity buses. I mean, they're like rolling hotels. Some even have beds. Ooh, did you ever try those?
Oh, those Brazilian buses are legendary. It's like a budget cruise on wheels. But sometimes you feel like you're aging a decade on one trip. Are we there yet?
I hear you. And the distances. Whoa. You could practically travel to another country in the time it takes to cross some Brazilian states. But what about Indonesia?
Indonesia's a whole different beast, right? It's all about those ferries and domestic flights connecting the islands. Think of it as island hopping, the extreme version. Wow.
Yeah, that sounds epic. But also potentially a bit chaotic. I imagine coordinating all those boats and planes can be a logistical nightmare. Oops.
You got it. It's an adventure, let's say. Sometimes you're on island time, which means schedules are more like suggestions. But hey, that's part of the charm.
Speaking of charm, what about the roads? I've heard some tales about Brazilian highways.
Tales is putting it mildly, Mira. Some of those roads have seen better centuries. But hey, it builds character and strengthens your spine. Ouch!
I'll bet. And Indonesia? Is it all smooth sailing? Or are there some bumpy rides there too?
Depends where you are, right? Java's got decent roads, but some of the more remote islands, let's just say you might want to pack a good suspension system for your butt.
So, generally speaking, would you say it's easier to navigate Brazil or Indonesia overall?
And that's a tough one. Brazil, you've got more land-based options, even if some of them are rustic. Even if it's all about embracing the nautical lifestyle, even if it means a few delays.
Well, since we're talking about convenience, what about ride-sharing apps like Uber or Grab? Are they readily available in both countries?
In the big Brazilian cities, yeah, Uber's pretty common. But in small towns, you're more likely to be hailing a local taxi or relying on those trusty buses.
Okay, and Indonesia? Is it Grab all the way?
Grab is king in Indonesia, though you also find local motorcycle taxis, or OJEKs, which are a quick and, exhilarating way to get around.
Exhilarating. That sounds like code for slightly terrifying. So, where do you hail these bikes? And how much jet or fare supports this type of traveling?
Exactly. It's like a two-wheeled roller coaster through traffic. You can find more details about it on our Jet Off AI website. I suppose you have to bargain a bit before you hop on.
If someone is planning a trip to either Brazil or Indonesia, what's your top transportation tip for each country?
For Brazil, embrace the buses, pack a good book, and be patient. For Indonesia, download Grab, learn to haggle, and get ready for some serious island hopping.
I think it gives our listeners a pretty good overview of what to expect when it comes to transportation in Brazil and Indonesia. Well, now where to next? Let's dive into the linguistic jungle of Brazil and Indonesia. You ready to tango with tongues?
Mira, you're always so dramatic. More like a comedic mosh pit. Well, like a comedic mosh pit. So, Brazil and Indonesia, huh? To giants. But how easy is it to actually talk to them?
Well, in Brazil, Portuguese is the name of the game. But it's not just any Portuguese. It's Brazilian Portuguese, which is like the samba version, right? More relaxed and groovy.
Groovy, huh? More like grammatically rebellious. Tell that to a Portuguese professor. But seriously, Portuguese is widely spoken, making it relatively straightforward for travelers who speak it. Unless they're expecting European Portuguese, then it's chaos.
But what about Indonesia? I hear it's a whole different beast. Wow. Like how many languages are we talking about?
Oh, Indonesia is a linguistic zoo. Officially, Bahasa Indonesia is the national language, but there are hundreds of local languages. Whoa, it's like every island has its own secret code.
Hundreds. That's insane. So, if you only know Bahasa Indonesia, are you basically mute in regions? Oops.
Not mute, but you might feel like you're watching a foreign film without subtitles. Bahasa Indonesia is widely taught, so most people understand it, but local languages are still very much alive.
I've heard Bahasa Indonesia is considered one of the easiest Asian languages to learn for English speakers. Is that true or just a tall tale?
Well, it's no walk in the park, but it's definitely less thorny than, say, Mandarin or Japanese. Oh, no tones, relatively simple grammar.
That's good news for my future vlogging career. I can just picture myself greeting the locals with "Hello, Timan Timan." Instant fame.
Thing might be a stretch, but you'll definitely score some points for effort. Though, beware of the silent H. It's a sneaky little thing.
You're pulling my leg. What's the point of even having it then? That's just a linguistic troll move.
Exactly. It's there to confuse tourists and comedians. A small price to pay for entering paradise.
Oh, what about cultural communication norms? Are Brazilians as touchy-feely as they say? Do I need to prepare for unexpected hugs from strangers?
Unexpected hugs? Possibly. Brazilians are generally warm and expressive, so physical contact isn't uncommon. Wow, just roll with it. Unless you're super germophobic.
Noted. But what about Indonesia? Are they more reserved?
Bowing isn't mandatory, but respect is key. Indonesians are generally polite and indirect, so avoid being overly blunt or aggressive. Oh, Think gentle diplomacy, not a bullhorn.
Gentle diplomacy. I like it. Sounds like my kind of game. Ooh, I can do gentle and charming, especially after a few cups of coffee.
Coffee diplomacy. Now that's a concept. We should patent that. But seriously, a smile and a polite demeanor go a long way in both countries.
So, let's say someone's planning a trip. Which country is easier to navigate if they only speak English?
That's a tough one. In tourist hotspots, both Brazil and Indonesia have English speakers, but beyond those areas, it's a gamble.
So, should I pack a Portuguese English into Bahasa Indonesia English dictionary? or just rely on Google Translate and hope for the best?
Google Translate is your friend, but don't expect miracles. A phrasebook is also a good idea. Plus, learning a few basic phrases in the local language shows respect and can open doors.
Okay, I'll learn a few phrases. Obrigado and terima kasih out it. Anything else I should know?
Just be patient, be respectful, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. People appreciate the effort, even if you butcher their language. And watch out for the silent H.
Noted. Silent H and unexpected hugs, Brazil and Indonesia. Here I come. Wow. This is going to be an adventure.
Indeed. And for those listening, don't forget to check out Gen AI for more tips on traveling and communicating in different cultures. We've got articles that'll make you laugh and learn something.
Plus, if you like this podcast, give us a thumbs up on YouTube and leave a comment. We want to know which country you find more linguistically intimidating.
And if you're feeling brave, record yourself trying to pronounce some Portuguese or Bahasa Indonesia phrases. Well, pick the funniest one to feature in our next episode.
Oh, that's evil. I love it. I love it. Okay, listeners, you have your mission. Prepare to butcher some languages.
Remember, folks, the world is a comedy stage and languages are just the props. Ooh!
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to dive into cultural diversity and tolerance in Brazil and Indonesia. I feel like we're about to uncover a rainbow of stories and traditions.
Mira, you always make everything sound like a party. But seriously, it's a fascinating topic. Brazil and Indonesia both boast incredible diversity, but that can be tricky. Let's see what the data tells us.
When we upload this to YouTube, be sure to let us know which topic you want us to handle next. Wow, Brazil, with its mix of indigenous, European, African, and Asian influences, is like a giant carnival of cultures.
And Indonesia, spanning thousands of islands with hundreds of ethnic groups and languages, is practically a cultural archipelago. It's a stand-up comedian's dream, so much material.
Speaking of languages, did you know Brazil has over 200 indigenous languages alongside Portuguese? It's amazing.
Yeah, but Portuguese is the official language, right? Sort of like how Indonesian or Bahasa Indonesia is the unifying language in Indonesia despite the 700 plus local languages. Dude, imagine trying to learn all of those.
I cannot imagine. I always mix them up. By the way, if you have trouble understanding something, check out AI.
Always got to plug Jet Off AI? Well, since we're talking about unity, Indonesia has this Pancasile philosophy promoting unity and diversity. Pretty smart.
You're right. And Brazilians have this amazing ability to blend different cultures into their daily life. They make it look easy, just like mixing a caipirinha.
That sounds delicious. So, what about tolerance? Are these countries just diverse, or do they actually get along? It's one thing to live side by side and another be friends.
The million-dollar question? Well, Brazil has its challenges with racial and economic inequality, which can sometimes spark tensions. Ouch.
Dude, definitely. In Indonesia, religious and ethnic tensions sometimes surface, especially in certain regions. It's not always smooth sailing.
But you know what's so inspiring? All these amazing initiatives both countries have created to promote social harmony.
Like what? Spill the beans, Mira. I need some new material.
Well, Brazil has these quilomboes, communities founded by escaped slaves, that are now recognized for their cultural preservation. It is like keeping history alive.
Wow, that's some cool history. Indonesia's got rumah hat, traditional houses that reflect the unique architecture and customs of each ethnic group.
And Brazil's musical traditions, like samba and bossa nova, blend African rhythms with European harmonies. It's musical fusion.
Agreed. In Indonesia, you've got gamelan orchestras and shadow puppet performances. The art scene keeps those traditions alive.
By the way, if you are thinking about which country you want to live in, do not forget to support us with a like or comment. Wow, it helps us to support you more.
She's right. And speaking of harmony, it is not always in the spotlight, as she told. Sometimes discrimination is felt. Just read news to state and on new information. It is a good topic for stand-up.
Both countries have seen social progress, but there are still hurdles. So let's give examples. Wow, people from different backgrounds come together.
Let's hope that our podcast has people from different backgrounds too. It would be cool. The more people listening, the funnier it will be.
As a conclusion, both Brazil and Indonesia show great social tolerance, even though there are so many differences. You know, the world is full of cultural mixes.
And it is tons of materials for stand-up comedy. I will not miss this opportunity. That's all that matters. You can explore details with Jet Off AI.
Hello, folks. Let's chat about brains and books, shall we? Today, we're diving into educational opportunities and language schools in Brazil and Indonesia. Oh, you know, which one has the coolest school uniforms? Just kidding.
Cool uniforms are definitely important, Mira. I mean, if you're going to be stuck in a classroom all day, you might as well look good, right? But seriously, let's talk about literacy rates first. In Brazil, it's pretty high. Around 93%.
Not bad at all. Leo, you say? Wow. What about Indonesia? Are they keeping up with the samba beat? Or are they more laid back in the learning department? Aha!
Indonesia's doing quite well too, Mira. Whoa, they're hovering around 96%, so they actually beat Brazil in that department. Maybe they have some secret learning techniques we should check out. Like, perhaps learning while napping.
Learning while napping? Now you're talking my language, Leo. But jokes aside, let's dig into the educational systems a bit. In Brazil, what kind of innovative teaching methods are they using? Are we talking virtual reality classrooms, or just old-school chalkboards and shouting?
Well, it's a mix, Mira. They're definitely trying to integrate more technology into the classrooms, especially in the bigger cities. Oh, you'll find interactive whiteboards and online learning platforms becoming more common. But you know, challenges like internet access in rural areas still exist.
Ah, the digital divide. Always about scale? What about Indonesia? Do they have the same issues? Or are they totally rocking the tech-savvy educational scene?
It's a similar story in Indonesia, Mira. Urban areas are pushing forward with digital learning, but getting reliable internet to all the remote islands is a huge challenge. They're also focusing on vocational trainings for specific industries.
Vocational training, nice. Getting hands-on experience is crucial. What about language schools? If I wanted to learn Portuguese in Brazil or Bahasa Indonesia, what are my options?
In Brazil, you'll find a ton of language schools offering Portuguese courses for foreigners, especially in tourist hubs like Rio and Sao Paulo. Whoa, they range from intensive immersion programs to more relaxed evening classes. Some even offer samba lessons on the side.
Now that's sins on the side. Now that's what I call well-rounded education. What about Indonesia? Are there a lot of options for learning Bahasa Indonesia? Or is it more of a learn-as-you-go situation?
There are definitely language schools in Indonesia, particularly in cities like Jakarta and Bali. Oh, many universities also offer Bahasa Indonesia courses for international students. But you know, a lot of people just pick it up as they go. Indonesians are generally very patient and helpful with language learners.
Patient and helpful locals. Sounds lovely. So, for someone looking to immerse themselves in the language and culture, both countries offer unique opportunities. Do you think Jet or I could help connect people with these language schools?
Absolutely, Mira. Jet Off AI could definitely be a valuable resource for finding language schools and educational programs in both Brazil and Indonesia. We could even feature success stories of people who've used Jet Off AI to learn a new language and explore these amazing countries.
Oh, That's a wonderful idea, Leo, a chance to get real stories from real people. And if you like this episode, give us a like, folks.
And don't forget to subscribe. That way you won't miss our next adventure. Plus, leaving a comment always makes our day brighter.
Speaking of brightening the day, if you are planning a trip there, visit Jet.ai for any details you might need.
Okay, so if you were forced to choose, Mira, which country would you pick for an educational adventure? Brazil or Indonesia? And why?
Tough question, Leo. If I had to pick, I think I'd lean towards Brazil. The combination of Portuguese language classes, vibrant culture, and of course samba lessons is just too tempting to resist. Plus, I've always wanted to see the Amazon rainforest. Oh.
Fair enough. But I think I'd go with Indonesia. Whoa! The sheer diversity of cultures and languages across the archipelago is fascinating. Plus, I'm a sucker for spicy food, and Indonesian cuisine is seriously underrated. Ha!
Spicy food is definitely a major draw. Well, folks, it sounds like both Brazil and Indonesia offer incredible educational opportunities and language learning experiences.
So whether you're dreaming of mastering Portuguese in Rio or diving into Bahasa Indonesia in Bali, both countries have something special to offer. Wow! Just remember to pack your dictionary and your dancing shoes.
And if you have any questions or want to share your own experiences, be sure to leave a comment on our YouTube channel. We love hearing from you guys.
Indeed. And check out Jet.ai for more travel tips and inspiration. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Bye, folks. Till next time. Remember to stay curious and keep learning. Wow. All right, Leo. Let's dive into the tropical climates of Brazil and Indonesia. Thick sunshine, rainforests, and maybe a few monkeys stealing our snacks. What's your first thought when you picture these two?
Sweating in a hammock probably sums it up. But seriously, Mira, Brazil and Indonesia, to giants basking near the equator sounds like a competition for who can be more consistently, gloriously humid. Tell me more about Brazil's weather, the parts beyond the postcard beaches.
Oh, Brazil is like a weather kaleidoscope. The Amazon is hot and steamy year-round. Think of it as a constant sauna. The south has distinct seasons, sometimes even snow. Rio, of course, is eternally beach weather-ish.
Snow in Brazil? Well, I pictured it as one giant carnival-like parade of sunshine. So, Indonesia, does it just do the tropical heat wave thing all year?
Pretty much, Leo. Indonesia is all about that tropical monsoon climate. It's hot and humid, but the wet and dry seasons play a big role. Bali gets relatively dry, while other islands are perpetually damp.
Damp? That's putting it mildly, I imagine. So, do they have, like, umbrella insurance there? What's the deal with extreme weather in these places?
Brazil definitely sees its share. Flooding in urban areas, droughts affecting agriculture, especially in the northeast. Then there are the occasional landslides in the mountainous regions. Ouch. It can be intense.
Landslides? Yikes. Indonesia, being an archipelago, I'm guessing it's tsunamis and volcanoes, right? Maybe the occasional dragon sighting?
But yeah, Indonesia is on the ring of fire. Indonesia is on the ring of fire. So volcanic activity and earthquakes are a real concern. Tsunamis are a risk too. Whoa. They definitely have to be prepared for anything.
So, how do people actually live with this? I'm picturing houses built on stilts and everyone owning a kayak. Do they have special coping mechanisms for the constant weather challenges?
In Brazil, the architecture in the Amazon is designed to deal with heat and humidity, high ceilings, lots of ventilation. Farmers have learned to adapt to irregular rainfall with different planting techniques. They are tough.
Farmers adapting to the weather, I understand. But Brazil is so vast, so you are telling me. It is all that tropical I envisioned in the beginning of our conversation.
The Amazon basin, absolutely, but Brazil extends southward quite far. In fact, there are areas in southern Brazil where snow is not uncommon, even though this is infrequent.
Amazing, I really imagine as if Brazil was hot or humid all the time without any other choice.
Indonesia has its adaptations too. Traditional houses are often built on stilts to avoid flooding. Coastal communities have developed early warning systems for tsunamis. They are deeply connected to the rhythms of the monsoon.
Early warning systems sound essential. Do they have special rain answers or something?
I wouldn't be surprised. Cultural practices are often linked to the seasons and weather patterns. Planting and harvesting festivals are common. They know their land.
Alright, so Brazil is this diverse mix, from snowy bits to steamy rainforests facing floods and droughts. Indonesia is a tropical archipelago wrestling with volcanoes and tsunamis. Which one would you pick for a weather vacation, Mira?
Tough choice. Brazil for the sheer variety. You could hike in the mountains, relax on the beach, and sweat it out in the jungle all in one trip.
Variety does sound tempting. Maybe I'd go with Indonesia, just to say I survived a volcanic eruption. Hypothetically, of course.
You and your thirst for disaster tourism. But yeah, both countries offer incredible experiences. Just be sure to pack your sunscreen into good raincoat.
Sunscreen and raincoat it is. Maybe some earthquake-proof gear too, just in case. And that's our weather report, folks.
Well, Leo. Since we're diving into Brazil and Indonesia, let's kick things off with the tastiest topic of all, food. I mean, seriously, who doesn't love thinking about food? Oh, I'm already drooling. So, culinary heritage to dietary diversity. What are your initial tasty thoughts?
Ah, Mira, always with the enthusiasm. I'm sensing a food-related adventure about to begin. Let's see. Nutritional alternatives? Sounds healthy. But I hope we're not skipping the good stuff like, fried snacks and questionable street meat. Anyway, what's your take on the opening course here?
Oh, tried snacks and questionable street meat, Majid. But seriously, Brazil has a fiado day, which is basically a party in a pot with black beans and all sorts of meats. It's like the national dish, right? Then Indonesia has nasi goreng fried rice that's somehow better than any fried rice I've ever had. Wow, it's like they put magic in it.
Magic, you say? But sounds suspicious. But okay, fiado day versus nasi goreng. I can see that. Brazil is like, we're gonna throw all the meat in one pot. And Indonesia is like, we'll make rice the star somehow. I bet the coffee is better in Brazil, though. I hear they're proud of their coffee.
Now you're talking. But wait, Indonesia has kopi uwak, which is basically coffee made from beans that a civet cat. Well, processes. It's like super fancy and expensive. Whoa, talk about a digestive adventure.
Okay, you got me there. Kopi Wak, the coffee that's been through a cat. Only in Indonesia, folks. It's like, let's take something already perfect coffee and make it weird. But hey, if people are willing to pay for it, who am I to judge?
Speaking of unique, Brazil also has a bowls. It's like a superfood smoothie that's also a dessert. Healthy and delicious. Take that, guilt. Ooh, I could use one right now.
A cable's alright. I can dig it. Brazil's playing the health card, huh? That's cool, I guess. But back to Indonesia. Ever tried tempeh? It's like tofu's cooler fermented cousin. So versatile. You can fry it, grill it, put it in anything.
So versatile. Speaking of alternatives, Brazil has hearts of palm, which they use in salads and stews. It's like eating the inside of a palm tree. Weird but surprisingly good. Aha! It's like they went, hey, what's edible in this jungle?
What's edible in this jungle? Exactly my kind of culinary philosophy. But seriously, both countries are pretty resourceful when it comes to food. They make the most of what they have.
Totally. And let's not forget dietary diversity. Brazil has a huge mix of European, African, and indigenous influences, so the food is super varied. Indonesia, with its thousands of islands, each has its own regional specialties. So much to explore. Wow.
Thousands of islands, each with its own food, dude. Indonesia is like a food treasure map. It's like go on a culinary adventure and never eat the same thing twice. But Brazil, yeah, it's a melting pot of flavors. So, which place is winning this culinary battle?
But speaking of battles, what about innovation? I mean, are they doing anything cool with food, tech, or sustainable practices? You know? Beyond just let's eat whatever we find in the jungle.
Good point, Mira. I heard that in Brazil they're experimenting with using more native ingredients and sustainable farming practices. It's all about preserving the Amazon while feeding people. Ambitious stuff. Whoa!
And in Indonesia, they are working on reducing food waste and finding new uses for agricultural byproducts. Aha! Plus, sustainable fishing is huge. It's like, respect the ocean, respect the food. I like that.
So I think that making tartaret. True that. Sustainable practices are becoming trendy. But hey, it's a good trend to have, right? No one likes the idea of trashing the planet for a good meal. It takes the taste from the meal, you know?
So, from FEI Jode to nasi goreng, kopi lu WAK to K burgers, it's clear both Brazil and Indonesia have amazing food cultures. It's like our stomachs are ready for a field trip.
Definitely, Mira. A field trip or maybe a food cast. We just need to convince Jet Off AI to cover the cost for food, flights, and questionable street meats.
Now you're talking my language, Leo. That could make an awesome video on YouTube. Do you guys agree with us? Be sure to comment and let us know if you want to see us eat our way through Brazil and Indonesia.
Alright everyone, if you like it, you can like it, share this podcast, and subscribe to the Jet Off AI YouTube channel. And who knows, maybe we'll get those free tickets and food.
Are you ready for our adventure comparing the historical, cultural, and artistic values of Brazil and Indonesia? It's gonna be a vibrant ride. Oh.
Hey, folks, Leah, Mira, you're already bouncing with excitement, aren't you? Brace yourselves, listeners, because when Mira gets excited, things get colorful and loud.
Loud in a good way, right? I mean, who doesn't love a little samba rhythm to spice things up? Speaking of rhythms, Brazil's historical narrative is like a samba itself, full of unexpected turns and infectious energy.
Samba reminds me, I once tried to samba in Rio, ended up looking like a caffeinated penguin. Seriously though, Brazil's history is a mix of indigenous roots, Portuguese colonization, and African influences. It's a cultural melting pot.
And those indigenous roots are so important. Before the Portuguese arrived, Brazil was home to countless tribes with unique traditions and art forms.
True, but a lot of that got overshadowed, right? I mean, colonization did number on the original cultures. The Portuguese brought their language, religional cultures, and architecture, which heavily influenced Brazil's development.
Sadly true, but the African influence is just as strong, if not more. The slave trade brought millions of Africans to Brazil, and they carried their music, dance, and religion with them.
Candu Mbila and Capiaria, anyone? Those are pure African fire, blending spirituality with martial arts and dance. Talk about creative resistance. It's almost like they're dancing their history, you know?
And Brazil's artistic scene is a reflection of all these influences. From the Baroque architecture of our Oak Preto to the modern art of Sao Paulo, there's something for everyone. Wow.
Our Oak Preto is a knockout. So much gold, it's like walking into a treasure chest. And let's not forget Brazilian music samba, bossa nova, funk karaoke. It's a global phenomenon.
Oh, the music. It's impossible not to move when you hear it. It's like your body just takes over and starts dancing. Brazil is a land of rhythm and color.
Alright, Mir, enough about Brazil for a minute. Let's hop over to Indonesia. So many islands, so many cultures. It's like a greatest hits album of Southeast Asia.
Indonesia, you're so right. Indonesia is like a constellation of cultures. Imagine thousands of islands, each with its own language, traditions, and artistic expressions. Wow.
Java, Bali, Sumatra, each one is like its own little country. The history there is ancient, stretching back to empires like Srivijaya and Majapahit.
And those empires left behind some seriously impressive monuments. Borobudur and Piramban and alike ancient wonders. Have you ever been there? Wow!
I have. Busted especially, it's a massive Buddhist temple complex that's absolutely mind-blowing. Climbing to the top feels like ascending to enlightenment.
Tell me about it. And Indonesia's cultural diversity is just mind-blowing. From the shadow puppet theater of Java to the intricate textiles of samba, there's so much to see and learn.
Way unculate, those shadow puppets are incredible. The stories, the music, the craftsmanship, it's a whole art form. And don't even get me started on Indonesian textiles batik. I can't song KED, the patterns and colors are hypnotic.
Oh, the batik is pure artistry. I once tried to learn how to make it, and let me tell you, it's way harder than it looks. I ended up with more wax on myself than on the cloth.
I believe it. Indonesia's art scene blends traditional techniques with modern influences, from contemporary painting to innovative installations.
It's like they're always finding new ways to express themselves while honoring their heritage. Ooh, how cool is that?
It is pretty cool. And Indonesian music is just as diverse. Gamelan orchestras. Dang, DUT pop. Traditional folk songs, it's a sonic feast.
Gamelan music is magical. It's so calming and ethereal, like something from another world. Where else can you hear music like that?
Nowhere else, Mira. And Indonesian dance traditions are incredible, from the graceful movements of Balinese dancers to the energetic dances of Sumatra.
Oh, the Balinese dancers. They're like living works of art, with their elaborate costumes and precise movements. Ooh, so mesmerizing. It's truly captivating. Wow.
So if we're talking historical, cultural, and artistic values, both Brazil and Indonesia bring some serious game. It would be really difficult to compare them.
They're both like treasure chests bursting with color, rhythm, and tradition. Seriously, if you're looking for a culturally rich experience, you can't go wrong with either one. Oh, this would be a good vlog on YouTube.
Agreed. And if you're looking to visit either country, check out Jet Off AI for some great travel tips and advice.
That's a great idea, Leah. Leah, they really do. So remember, listeners, whether it's the samba beats of Brazil or the gamelan melodies of Indonesia, there's always something new to discover. Wow.
All right, Mira. Ready to move on? What's next on our list? My coffee's getting cold here.
How about we talk about something a little more relaxing? Like which country is better for spa day?
Hispane? Now you're talking my language, but only if it includes a massage and a strong cup of coffee.
A massage with coffee beans? I'm on board. Let's do it. Leo, buckle up. We're about to take a virtual vacation to two of the most breathtaking countries on Earth. Prepare for an overload of wow moments. Ooh.
All right, Mira. But you know I'm more of a concrete jungle kind of guy. Still, I'm always up for a good laugh, even if it involves waterfalls and drying forests. So, Brazil and Indonesia, huh? Let's see if they can crack my sarcastic shell.
Brazil, my friend, is a land of superlatives. Think the Amazon rainforest, the Pantanal wetlands, and the iconic Sugarloaf Mountain in Rio. It's like Mother Nature went wild with the more is more philosophy. Wow.
More is more, huh? Sounds like my kind of party. Although, I'm picturing a giant mosquito convention in the Amazon, not exactly my ideal vacation. But hey, at least it's material.
Please, Leo. Think jaguars, chickens, and capybara as the size of small cars. It's a wildlife extravaganza. Plus, you've got the stunning Iguazu Falls straddling the border with Argentina. Imagine Niagara Falls, but times 10 and surrounded by lush rainforest. Whoa!
Iguazu Falls, you say? Sounds dramatic. I bet you can't even hear yourself think there. Still, I'm seeing a potential skidded couple trying to have a romantic picnic at the falls, completely drowned out by the roar.
And the beaches, Leo, the beaches. Copacabana, Ipanema miles of golden sands, samba rhythms in the air, and Caipirinha nest flowing freely. It's like a perpetual party.
Perpetual party, eh? I'm suddenly more interested. Although I'm also picturing myself getting a sunburn the size of Brazil and spending the rest of my trip looking like a good lobster. Ouch. Ouch.
Now, let's hop over to Indonesia, an archipelago over 17,000 islands. Think volcanic landscapes, where terraces cascading down hillsides, and coral reefs teeming with marine life. It's like a postcard come to life. Ooh.
17,000 islands? Sounds like a logistical nightmare for planning a trip. I've pictured myself constantly missing ferries and ending up stranded on some deserted island with nothing but coconuts in my wit.
But there's islands, Leo. Bali's iconic rice terraces, Komodo Island's legendary dragons, and Raya Ampat's underwater paradise. It's a nature lover's dream. Wow.
Komodo dragons, huh? Now that's some serious wildlife. I bet they don't appreciate sarcasm. Still, I'd love to see one try to steal my suitcase. That would be a hilarious chasey.
Let's not forget Mount Bromo in Java. Imagine standing on the rim of an active volcano at sunrise, watching the mist swirl around you. It's an ethereal experience.
Standing on the rim of an active volcano sounds like a great way to ruin your lungs and get a killer Instagram shot. But hey, at least you'd have a good story to tell if you survived.
Plus, you can explore the pristine beaches of Lombok, the ancient temples of Buruk-Basad and Piramban, and the diverse cultures of each island. It's a sensory overload in the best possible way.
Sensory overload? I'm already feeling overwhelmed. So, which country is more Instagrammable? That's the real question. The one with the most filters wins.
Leo, it's not about the filters. It's about the raw, unfiltered beauty of nature. Brazil and Indonesia both offer unparalleled landscapes and experiences that will leave you breathless.
Breathless from the beauty or breathless from the humidity? I'm guessing both. All right, Mira, you've almost convinced me to ditch the city for a bit. Almost. But first, I need a strong cup of coffee to contemplate all these natural wonders.
So, are you saying you are ready to choose any of these countries for your next show? Oh!
Well, maybe Brazil. But Indonesia has dragons that might be sarcastic, haha!
Don't forget to like this podcast if you want a free trip to any of these destinations.
Absolutely not. You will have to pay for your travel expenses. Whoa!
Alright listeners, let's lace up our boots and dive into the wild world of sports, activity, and adventure in Brazil and Indonesia. Oh! Brazil, the land of samba, and what was it again, Leah?
Mira, you wound me. It's only the beautiful game football. Soccer. My friend, soccer. And trust me, both countries have more than just a ball to kick around. Wow.
Of course. Of course. I was testing you. But seriously, Brazil lives and breathes soccer. It's practically a religion. But what else gets Brazilians moving?
Well, besides dodging caipirinha ness at Carnival, that's quite the workout. Brazil's got capoeira, the martial art dance. Ever tried that, Mira? You'd probably turn it into a samba.
I've seen videos. It's like breakdancing meets self-defense. Sounds intense. Maybe I could add some glitter to the uniform. What about Indonesia thing? Wow.
Bingo! Indonesia, with its thousands of islands, is a surfer's paradise. Bali, Lombok, Mentawai, the waves are calling. Plus, you've got volcanoes to climb, jungles to trek. It's an adventure buffet.
You know I'm not very fond of hot places. Whoa, that sounds like Leo's kind of thing. You'd probably pack a portable espresso machine for the summit.
Hey, a comedian's gotta stay caffeinated even on a volcano. But seriously, the views from up there are incredible. And Indonesia has some amazing diving spots too, Mira. Maybe even you could handle it.
Okay, piqued my interest. Colorful fish, coral reefs sounds like a real-life Finding Nemo. Oh, no sharks, please. Ouch. Speaking of colorful, what's Brazil got besides soccer stadiums?
Think. That rainforest adventures. Hiking, kayaking, wildlife spotting. The Amazon is calling. You can even try some boarded down the dunes in some parts of the country. Bet you'd look fabulous in the action shots, Mira.
Now something I could get into. Less climbing, more sliding. Perfect. Maybe I can bring a disco ball for extra sparkle. What about more unusual stuff?
Well, Brazil has a thing for beach volleyball. That's a total classic. Also, you can find people kitesurfing, windsurfing, or just chilling in a hammock with a coconut. The motto here is relax and enjoy the view. How can you resist to that?
I feel so relaxed now just by listening to you. Let's talk more about Indonesia then. Do they do the same relaxing sports with coconuts like in Brazil?
Well, since they have so many islands, surfing or island hopping seems to be a very popular sport. If you are into culture, some forms of martial arts are still practiced there. For example, pancake sila. That seems like a real action movie. Ooh.
A real action movie. It seems interesting. I think I would be too scared to start learning it though. You know how clumsy I am sometimes. I would accidentally hurt myself. Or worse. But anyway, I'm sure there are other less intense sports around there, right?
Of course, you can enjoy a lovely yoga or meditation retreat. Go to the spa for a refreshing massage, or even enjoy their street food while touring the city. There is so much to do here. What's your excuse now?
I'm still afraid of the spiders. But you know, maybe one day. We should definitely put some photos of Indonesia for people to see on the YouTube channel. Are there any festivals we can talk about too?
There sure are so many of them that you can't attend them all in one year. However, if you enjoy water stops and like to compete, you should definitely attend the Jukung Boat Festival, an old tradition where they show off their colorful boats. It must be breathtaking.
And I'm sure you can take great photos and make great jokes about the fishermen on the stage too. It would make your show really great.
Hey, let's not talk about my stand-up here. However, I have to admit that they would make an amazing scene. Whoa! But it's your turn now. Tell me, what is your impression about the sports scene in Brazil?
I like the Brazilian enthusiasm. They never give up. They know how to play and have fun at the same time. They are passionate about their sports.
Okay, so to summarize, if you like surfing, go to Indonesia. If you like soccer, go to Brazil. What if you like martial arts? Wow.
Learn capoeira in Brazil, but learn pencak silat if you are in Indonesia. However, always remember to stay fit. Visit Jet or Fei if you need any information on where to travel and how to plan it.
That's a great tip from you. Well done, Mir. What else can we say about the topic here?
This has been a great opportunity to discover a bit about Brazil and Indonesia. Thank you, Leo. I'm sure our listeners will take notes and maybe make a trip or two.
And if you are here with us, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We would appreciate it very much.
And we are done for today. Thank you for being with us. And see you in the next episode. Oh, alright, Leo. Let's dive into the night scene. Brazil versus Indonesia. Which one brings the party harder? I'm picturing samba versus. Well, what do they do in Indonesia after dark?
Mira, my friend, as always, you jump right into the deep end. It's not ALL just beaches and bintang beer, you know. Though, admittedly, that's a pretty good start. But let's see, Samba versus Shadow Puppets.
Shadow puppets as a night out? Really? Come on. I'm imagining feathers, glitter, and caipirinhas in Rio. Tell me Indonesia has SOMET and G that can compete.
IE. Alright. Hold your horses. Brazil definitely sets a high bar. But Indonesia has its own unique charm. And vibrant street food markets that stay open late, with music spilling out of warung small restaurants, and traditional dance performances under the stars.
Sound tempting. Especially if it involves some mystery spices. Do they have any music that gets you moving, though? I need some rhythm, Leo.
Rhythm, you say? Indonesia's got it in spades. From traditional gamelan orchestras to dang DUT music that'll make you want to shake your hips whether you know the steps or not. Aha!
Dang GUT. Is it anything like samba? Because I'm telling you, once you hear those drums, you see ANT stop moving.
Not quite samba, but just as infectious. Think a mix of traditional Indonesian music, Bollywood, and a little bit of rock and roll thrown in for good measure. It's an experience.
All right, you've piqued my interest. But what about something a bit more modern? Do they have any clubs or anything? Or is it all traditional dances and street food?
Whoa, of course they do. Jakarta and Bali have pretty hopping club scenes, with DJs spinning everything from house to techno. And don't forget the beach clubs in Bali that are open all night long.
Now you're talking my language. I'm picturing myself sipping a fruity cocktail, dancing under the moonlight. Brazil has some amazing beach parties too, though. It's a tough call.
I know, right? It really depends on what you're looking for. Brazil is all about that high energy, in-your-face party vibe. Indonesia offers a bit more variety, from cultural experiences to laid-back beach scenes.
So, Brazil is like a shot of espresso in Indonesia, is that? A calming cup of herbal tea.
I wouldn't go THAT far. Maybe Brazil is a strong caipirinha and Indonesia is our Mado, a honey-infused rice wine with a kick. Wow!
Okay. That sounds a little more exciting. So, if someone only had one night in each country, where would you send them? Where's the MUSDSE nightlife spot?
In Brazil, it's gotta be Rio. Head to Lapa for samba clubs and street parties that go all night. In Indonesia, check out Seminyak and Bali for trendy beach clubs and rooftop bars.
Maybe we should plan a little jet-off AI field trip to test these out firsthand, Leo.
Now the HADS an idea I can get behind, research of course. Purely for research purposes. We'll get the jet-off AI team to film our experiences.
We'll film ourselves researching and put it on YouTube. But let us know in the comments where you like to party. Ugh.
Absolutely. And if you've got any crazy nightlife stories from Brazil or Indonesia, we want to hear them. Maybe they'll end up in our next podcast. Get liking and subscribing to our channel, folks.
And don't forget to visit Jet-Off AI for more travel inspiration. Alright, Leo, what's next on the agenda? Let's make it interesting. Our current topic, we compare family-friendly environments and children's activities into countries. From welcoming parks to engaging museums, where do families thrive?
Sounds like we're scoping out which place is less likely to result in parental units spontaneously combusting from boredom. Brazil or Indonesia, let's see which wins the Survive the Family Vacation Award.
Let's start with Brazil. Think vibrant beaches, right? Copacabana, Ipanema perfect falls and castles and splashing. Ooh. Plus, many hotels have kids clubs, so parents can, actually relax for 5 minutes.
Brazil. Beaches are a good start, but I'm picturing some screen explosions on toddlers trying to eat the sand. Sounds less like relaxation and more like a biohazard situation.
Okay, fair point. But what about Sugarloaf Mountain? The cable car ride alone is thrilling for kids. Wow. And the views? Incredible. Plus, there's Christ the Redeemer.
Okay. Oh, giant statue looming over a city does have a certain appeal. But let's be real, is it stroller friendly? Whoa, I'm just picturing a logistical nightmare involving crowds and selfie sticks.
True. The crowds can be intense. But Brazil also has amazing wildlife. The Pantanal is like a giant outdoor zoo. Though, imagine seeing jaguars, capybaras, and chickens in their natural habitat.
Alright, wild animals are cool, but let's hope Junior doesn't decide to try and make friends with a jaguar. Yeah, kitty. Not ideal.
Definitely supervised viewing only. But Brazil also has amazing family-friendly resorts, especially along the coast. Think water parks, playgrounds, and endless activities.
Resorts. Huh? Sounds expensive. And potentially overrun with screaming kids. I'm just saying, sometimes family-friendly translates to sensory overload.
Oh, now let's switch gears to Indonesia. Think Bali, with its stunning beaches and calm waters. Perfect for beginner surfers. Wow.
Bali, eh? Surf lessons for kids? Sounds like a recipe for disaster and a lot of tears. Ouch! And just picturing a tiny human being swallowed by a wave while the instructor yells vague instructions.
Oh, maybe start with swimming lessons first. But Bali also has amazing cultural experiences, like traditional dance performances and temple visits.
Temples? With kids, that's ambitious. In picturing a very swift and brutal clash between ancient religious sites and small hands trying to climb everything.
Sure, you need to keep a close eye on them. But Indonesia also has amazing nature. Think rice paddies, waterfalls, and volcanoes. Whoa.
Volcanoes! Now we're talking. Nothing says family fun like standing on the edge of an active volcano. Whoa, although maybe bring a gas mask for the little ones.
Safety first, always. But Indonesia also has amazing wildlife encounters. Think orangutans in Borneo and Komodo dragons in Komodo National Park. Oh.
Komodo dragons? That sounds like a scene straight out of Jurassic Park. Honey, I shrunk the kids and fed them to the Komodo dragons.
Again, definitely supervised viewing only. But Indonesia also has amazing cultural immersion opportunities. Think boutique workshops, gamelan lessons, and cooking classes. Wow!
Cooking classes could be fun as long as no one sets the kitchen on fire. Whoa! Junior's first attempt at rendang resulted in a 3-alarm blaze.
Well, Indonesia also has a ton of family-friendly resorts, especially in Bali and Lombok. Think swimming pools, kids clubs, and stunning sunsets.
Race ports in Lombok are great, so Indonesia also has that luxury resorts. Sounds delightful. Now, let's get real. Let's see how much these luxury resorts cost.
Right, so which country wins the Family-Friendly Fun Award? It's a tough call. Both Brazil and Indonesia offer amazing experiences for families.
True there. Brazil's got the beaches and wildlife, but Indonesia has got the culture and dragons. It's a real Sophia's choice for travel planners.
I think it depends on your family's preferences. If you love beaches and vibrant cities, Brazil is a great choice.
And if you're into culture, nature, and maybe a little bit of danger, Indonesia might be more your speed.
Don't forget the budget. Brazil can be more expensive, especially in the big cities. Indonesia can be more affordable, especially if you venture off the beaten path.
True, but then you run into the challenge of transportation and explaining to Junior why the Wi-Fi isn't working. So, there's a trade-off. Haha.
Ultimately, both Brazil and Indonesia offer amazing opportunities for families to create unforgettable memories. Wow.
Now, if you'll excuse me, all this talk about family vacations has given me a stress headache. I'm gonna go find some coffee. You can find the detailed article on Genofea.
As Leo heads to the coffee, do remember to like and subscribe to the channel. You never know, it might just inspire your next big adventure. Okay, Leo, let's talk about something really important, how friendly Brazil and Indonesia are to LGBT friends. It's a big deal, right?
Absolutely, Mira. It's about making everyone feel welcome and safe, no matter who they are. So, Brazil and Indonesia. Wow. Buckle up, because it's quite the contrast.
Brazil first, because, well, samba and sunshine make everything seem fabulous. But seriously, Brazil has made some big strides. Think of the Rio Pride Parade, it's legendary.
Yeah, Rio Pride is like the Mardi Gras of the LGBT world. Whoa. But beyond the glitter and feathers, what's the real deal?
Well, same-sex marriage is legal, which is huge. Wow. And there are laws against discrimination. So on paper, it looks pretty good, right?
It sounds amazing on paper, Mira, but paper doesn't always reflect reality. What about social attitudes? Is everyone doing the samba in support?
Not quite, Leo. Brazil still has a strong conservative streak. You know, the kind that thinks holding hands in public is a radical act.
So by the side of hold your horses. God. What about Indonesia? Is it like a totally different planet?
Very much, Leo. Indonesia's a majority Muslim country, and things are complicated. Same-sex marriage is a no-go.
Oh, and what about laws protecting LGBT folks from discrimination? Do they exist, or is it more of a live and let live kind of vibe?
There aren't any national laws protecting LGBT Indonesians. Ouch. In some regions, things are getting even tougher, with increased crackdowns.
So a far cry from the samba parties of Rio then? What about the day-to-day life? Are there any LGBT communities or spaces where people can be themselves?
There are definitely LGBT communities, especially in bigger cities like Jakarta and Bali. But they often have to be really careful and discreet.
Like living a double life, perhaps. That sounds exhausting. Where do they find help or connection if they need it?
Some organizations are working to promote LGBT rights and provide support, but they often face a lot of challenges. It's a constant uphill battle.
Okay, so one country has legal protections and massive pride parades, while the other is struggling. Is there any glimmer of hope for change in Indonesia?
Some younger Indonesians are pushing for more acceptance, and social media is helping to raise awareness. It's going to take time.
It sounds like a long and winding road. So, bottom line, if you're LGBT, Brazil is generally more welcoming, but still has its issues, while Indonesia requires extreme caution.
Precisely, Leo. It's all about knowing the landscape and staying informed. You know, doing your homework before you pack your rainbow flag.
Always sound advice, Mira. So, to all our listeners, wherever you go, stay safe and be aware, and maybe learn a little samba while you're at it.
Absolutely, Leah. And hey, let us know what you think in the comments. Have you traveled in these countries? What were your experiences? We want to know.
Don't forget to click like and subscribe so we can keep chatting about these important topics. Oh, and thanks again to Jetoff AI for making this all possible.
Thanks, Jetoff AI. And until next time, stay fabulous, everyone. Hello, everyone. Let's chat about hospitality and attitudes towards foreigners in Brazil and Indonesia. I'm already picturing beaches and temples. Oh!
Mira, you're always dreaming of vacation. But yeah, hospitality. It's more than just free mints on your pillow, right? So, Brazil and Indonesia. Lay it on me.
I've heard Brazilians are super outgoing. Like, you're instantly invited to a churrasco before you even unpack.
That's the stereotype anyway. But from what I've seen, it's mostly true. Brazilians are warm. They'll help you even if they don't speak your language. Lots of smiles.
It's that Brazilian J.I. to the way they just make you feel at home. Even if you're stumbling over Portuguese phrases.
Right? As long as you try, they appreciate it. Show some enthusiasm and they'll be all over it. They'll teach you to samba in the street. Or at least try to.
And what about Indonesia? I'm thinking serene smiles and offerings everywhere.
Indonesia is a bit more diverse. Bali's super touristy, so they're used to foreigners. But head to other islands and it's a whole different ball game.
Maybe. I'd imagine customs are a little more strict than Brazil's.
Yeah, definitely more conservative in many areas. You gotta be respectful. Dress modestly. Learn a few basic phrases in Bahasa Indonesia. It goes a long way. Aha!
So, less spontaneous samba, more careful consideration. Noted for my future backpacking trip. I have to make sure to pack accordingly.
Precisely. In Bali, you can wear a Speedo on the beach and nobody bats an eye. Try that in Ace and you might end up on the evening news.
So, overall Brazil equals open arms and Indonesia equals thoughtful embrace?
That's a pretty good summary. Both are friendly but in different ways. One's a party, the other's a mindful meditation.
Do foreigners need to watch out for anything in either country?
The dark side of paradise. Scams exist everywhere. In Brazil, be wary of pickpockets and crowded tour spots. And inflated prices. Ouch!
Okay, so hold on to your belongings tight and always double check the bill. Sounds like anywhere else. Got it.
Indonesia's the same. Bali has its share of touts and overpriced souvenirs. But the real danger is unlicensed tour operators offering sketchy deals. What?
Oh, good point. Always book tours with reputable companies. Safety first, even if it means paying a little extra. Oh,
Exactly, and remember, a genuine smile doesn't always equal a good deal. Sometimes it just equals good marketing.
Bottom line for our listeners, Brazil and Indonesia both offer amazing hospitality. But be smart about it. Be open. But be aware.
Yeah, soak up the culture, enjoy the warmth. Just don't let that warmth melt your common sense. That's the golden rule.
And remember, if you like our little travel tips, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're always up for exploring new destinations. Ooh.
Yeah, and if you want to find out more about traveling abroad in general, head on over to Gen Fai. They've got articles for days to help you plan your trip. Wow.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Stay curious and keep exploring.
See you next time, folks. And watch out for those friendly monkeys in Bali. They'll steal your sunglasses.
Okay, Leo. Let's start textile. Let's dive into Brazil and Indonesia and see who wins the digital race.
The digital race, you say? Sounds like a tech triathlon. All right, Mira, let's see if these countries are ready to sprint, jog, or crawl through the internet infrastructure. I'm ready for funny remarks and humorous comparisons.
Huge country, right? Kinda like that one friend who always takes up too much space on the couch. How's their internet doing in all that space?
Brazil's internet is, well, it's vast, just like its rainforest. You've got pockets of lightning-fast connections in the big cities, and then you wander off into the Amazon and you're lucky if you can load a webpage.
So, city folks are streaming Netflix, and the rest are sending smoke signals?
Pretty much. Think of it as a digital gradient. The further you are from a major city, the slower your connection becomes. I guess you could say their internet speeds are geographically diverse.
Speaking of diverse, what about Indonesia? Thousands of islands all scattered about. Sounds like a logistical nightmare for delivering Wi-Fi.
Delivering Wi-Fi to Indonesia is like trying to herd cats across the ocean. You get some to an island and then 5 more pop up somewhere else. It is really hard.
Oh no! It's like digital whack-a-mole but with routers instead of moles.
Exactly. But hey, Indonesia's been working hard. They're laying down undersea cables to connect everything like giant, digital spaghetti.
Sounds, ambitious cables. Are they using, like, super strong waterproof duct tape to keep it all together?
I wish. More like high-tech fiber optics, but let's imagine it's just a dude in a wetsuit with a roll of duct tape. Makes it funnier, right?
So, what about for G? Are Brazilians and Indonesians all about that fast mobile life?
In Brazil, 4G is pretty widespread in the cities. You can stream your telenovelas on the go. But again, rural areas lag behind. It's all about location.
You are saying Brazilian cowboys are stuck with 2G while city slickers are on 4G. That's the joke of the day.
Pretty much. And Indonesia is catching up fast with 4G, especially on the main islands. They're leapfrogging straight to mobile because laying cables to every little island is a logistical head-scratcher.
Leapfrogging, I like that. So, they're skipping the landline awkward phase and going straight to cool mobile?
Exactly. Landlines are so last century. Indonesia is all about that mobile life. You can order your JEK, pay your bills. And watch cat videos, all on your phone.
The modern dream. What about innovation? Are these countries just catching up, or are they doing their own cool tech things?
Brazil has a growing startup scene, especially in fintech and e-commerce. They're trying to solve uniquely Brazilian problems with tech, which is pretty cool. They're not just copying Silicon Valley, they're doing their own thing.
Doing their own thing? Like samba-infused apps and Capiaria-powered robots?
Maybe not yet, but give them time. Indonesia also has a booming startup scene, particularly in e-commerce, ride-hailing, and digital payments. They have unicorns popping up left and right.
Like, actual magical unicorns?
The startup kind, worth over $1 billion. But I like your version better. Let's say they're fueled by magic and instant noodles.
I guess it's more realistic. So, tech accessor gets to play with these digital toys.
In both countries, there's still a digital divide. Urban areas are doing great, but rural areas are getting left behind due to cost and lack of infrastructure.
The rich get richer, and the rural farmers are stuck trying to load YouTube on dial-up.
It is a global problem. But hey, both governments are trying to bridge that gap with initiatives to expand broadband access and lower costs.
Trying being the operative word. Are they succeeding, or just making empty promises?
Some progress is being made, but there's still a long way to go. It's a marathon, not a sprint here. Even if it is a digital triathlon.
Got it. So in conclusion, Brazil is like a teenager with a sports car and a rusty bike, and Indonesia is like a bunch of kids on scooters racing to catch up. Did I nail it?
You nailed it, Mira. You absolutely nailed it. Now I am ready to do a Brazilian party? Should we ask our viewers on YouTube what they think of the infrastructure in their own country in the comments? If you like it, you can like it.
Sounds like a plan, my friend. Let's dive into comment section for even more fun. Are you ready to trade your coffee for some caipirinhas and explore the shopping scene? Let's talk Brazil versus Indonesia shop, shall we draw? Or at least until our wallets scream.
Shop till we drop? Mira, you're gonna make my bank account cry before we even start. But alright, let's see if Brazil's samba rhythms can compete with Indonesia's gamelan melodies in the shopping aisle. I'm betting on some absurd finds.
Okay, picture this Brazil, land of the Amazon and... I mean, you can't go to Brazil and not buy a pair, right? It's like a law. They're practically giving them away. In every color imaginable.
Have hyenas. Yeah, pretty standard. But Indonesia. We're talking about batik, baby. Intricate, hand-drawn fabrics that tell stories. You can't get that kind of cultural richness from a rubber flip-flop sarcasm.
Oh, come on, Leo. Those rubber flip-flops are iconic. Besides, Brazil has so much more. Think of the gemstones, the cachaca, the coffee. Endless souvenir possibilities.
Endless is right, endless prices if you're not careful. Indonesia can match that with silver jewelry with carvings and spices that'll make your kitchen smell like a rainforest. And often, way cheaper, sarcasm.
True, Indonesia's a bargain hunter's paradise. But Brazil has those amazing open-air markets. Imagine wandering through them, haggling for everything from hammocks to handmade art. Wow, it's an experience.
Haggling in Indonesia is practically an Olympic sport. You can sharpen your skills in markets overflowing with textiles, antiques, and even knockout designer goods. If you're into that kind of thing.
Okay, Indonesia wins on price. But what about malls? Brazil's got some seriously swanky shopping centers with all the international brands. Think Sao Paulo's like Wait Me.
Jakarta's malls are like mini-cities. They're air-conditioned havens packed with everything from high-end boutiques to local artisans. Plus, they're a great escape from the Jakarta heat.
And what about unique finds? I bet Brazil's got some quirky boutiques with handcrafted clothing and accessories you won't find anywhere else.
You can find quirky shops there. But have you seen Indonesian markets? They're like treasure hunts. You might stumble upon a vintage gamelan instrument, a hand-painted mask, or a weird-looking snack you can't even identify.
Touche. Leo, touche. So Indonesia is definitely a contender for unique shopping experiences. But when it comes to price performance, which country truly delivers the goods? Or should I say, the bargains?
For pure bang for your buck, Indonesia wins, hands down. You can fill your suitcase without emptying your wallet. Brazil's awesome, but it's more like, look at this cool stuff. Ouch, my credit card.
Ready to trade samba for gamelan. Let's talk Brazil and Indonesia when it comes to festivals and concerts. I bet we're about to discover a whole lot of shaking going on.
Mira, you always manage to turn even cultural analysis into a dance-off. In game though, but first, let's itch the cliches. It's not just samba and gamelan, right? There's more spice than that.
True. But come on, who can resist a bit of samba magic? Well, talking about annual celebrations, Brazil is basically the king with its carnival in Rio. I mean, it's not just a party. It's a national event.
A national event where feathers and glitter are mandatory. But Indonesia's got its own big hitters too. Ever heard of gamelan? It's a major Balinese Hindu festival celebrating the victory of good over evil. Pretty spectacular stuff.
Gamelan, adding that to my must-see list. Though, but Brazil's not just Rio's carnival, you know. There's also the Sao Paulo Art Biennial and the Parintins Folklore Festival. The art scene is super vibrant.
Art, huh? Indonesia has got its own flavor of that too. Check out the Jogja Art Weeks. It's a month-long celebration of contemporary art in Yogyakarta. It's not just paintings you see, installations, performances, the works. Wow.
Jogja Art Week sounds artsy. I like it. But for pure, unadulterated joy, can anything beat a Brazilian street festival? Those spontaneous celebrations are infectious.
True, Brazil has that street cred. But Indonesia has its own magic with things like the Paso La Jousting Festival and samba. It's a traditional war game with blunted lances. Makes a Brazilian street party seem almost tame.
Jousting with blunted lances. Whoa! That's intense. Ouch! But Brazil also has a serious music scene. Rock in Rio is legendary, right? Everyone from Queen Tawal, just about everyone has played there.
Rock in Rio, a classic. Indonesia might not have anything quite on that scale, but we have Java Jazz. It's one of the biggest jazz festivals in Southeast Asia. Plus, there are tons of small rock and metal festivals all over the country.
Sounds smooth. I'm starting to think we need a Jet Off Faye article just dedicated to the world's music festival scene. What do you think the audience would like? What do you think, listeners? Let us know in the comments section.
Now you're talking. A Jet Off AI guide to the world's best music festivals. With a section on festival fashion fails. That alone would get 1 million clicks. I imagine there's a lot of fashion fails in the rock metal festival are.
Definitely fashion fails. But what about the smaller events? What kind of local celebrations would you find in, say, a small Brazilian town?
That's where things get really interesting. You might find something like the Sirio di Nazarai, a massive religious procession in Belém. It's a huge outpouring of faith, with millions participating.
Millions participating, well. So, it's not all just about parties, right? In Indonesia, what kind of cultural events would a traveler stumble upon in a less touristy area?
Maybe they catch the Tabuake Festival in West Sumatra, a Shia Islamic event where people carry massive, elaborate structures to the sea. It's a real sight. You'd see and be asking yourself, how in the world?
Sounds like something straight out of a movie. Wow. I've always wanted to experience a proper religious procession. Is it very reverent?
It can be, but there's also this vibrant, community feel to it. People are dressed up, there's music. Food, it's a celebration as much as it is a religious event. Ooh, a lot of fun for the soul.
Sir, if you're looking for culture, whether it's with a capital C or a small c, both Brazil and Indonesia have you covered. And maybe while we're at it, we should explore more unique cultural phenomenons in the world.
Absolutely. And don't forget, dear listeners, give video a like and subscribe if you loved hearing our silly voices. And who knows, maybe we'll dive deeper into the specific cultures of Indonesia.
Speaking of globe-trotting adventures and tongue-twisting phrases, let's dive into our next destination, Brazil and Indonesia. Ooh, which one do you think has the easier language to pick up, or at least, which one offers the better chances for a newbie linguist?
Mira, you know I'm all about a good challenge, so I'm immediately drawn to whatever's more difficult, just so I can turn my struggles into stand-up material here. But seriously, let's break down the language learning landscape in both Brazil and Indonesia.
Well, Portuguese in Brazil is definitely a Romance language, so it's got the familiar vibe if you've dabbled in Spanish or French. Wow, all those conjugations, though, can be a bit of a tango for newcomers. What I'm curious about is, are there plenty of language schools or maybe cool language exchange spots in Brazil?
From what I've seen, Brazil's got a decent offering of language schools in the major cities like Rio and Sao Paulo. Not to mention a ton of private tutors eager to boost your Portuguese. Plus, the online resources are growing, although sometimes the accents can be tricky even for seasoned learners. What about Indonesia? Is Bahasa Indonesia walk in the park or a climb up Mount Bromo?
Bahasa Indonesia is supposedly one of the easier Asian languages for English speakers, since it doesn't have tones like Mandarin or tricky writing systems like Japanese. Ooh, the grammar's pretty straightforward, but the vocabulary might be a bit of a head-scratcher at first. Do you reckon it's easy to find immersion programs there?
Immersion programs are definitely popping up in places like Bali and Jakarta, catering to the digital nomad crowd and the surf bums. Plus, because Indonesia has so many islands and regional languages, locals are often pretty understanding when you butcher their national language. It's almost like a free pass to mangle Bahasa Indonesia and still get a smile.
I love that. So, both have opportunities galore. But which one do you think is more forgiving in the pronunciation department? I can butcher Italian, but sometimes Spanish speakers look at me like I've grown a second head.
I'd say Indonesian might be slightly more forgiving. The pronunciation rules are fairly consistent, and they don't have as many tricky nasal sounds as Portuguese. Wow. Although, don't get me started on some of the regional dialects they can throw even native speakers for a loop. What about resources like language exchange partners or online apps?
Online resources are booming for both. Duolingo, Bemi Rise, you name it. But finding good language exchange partners, that's where things get interesting. I'd say Brazil has a more established culture of language exchanges in universities and cultural centers, but Indonesia is catching up fast with the rise of online communities.
That makes sense. Brazil's got that strong academic infrastructure and the huge international student population driving the exchange scene. Whoa, Indonesia's definitely more grassroots and community-driven, which has its own charm. Speaking of charm, which language do you think is more fun to learn, from a purely entertainment value perspective?
Now that's a loaded question. I mean, Portuguese has that musicality and those beautiful bossa nova tunes to serenade you through your study sessions. Indonesian has some wonderfully quirky idioms and expressions that are just begging to be turned into jokes. It's a tough call.
It is. Portuguese has that undeniable cool factor, especially if you're into music and literature. But Indonesian is like unlocking a treasure chest of cultural insights and local humor that you just can't get anywhere else. Plus, being able to have Bahasa Indonesia?
Good point. So, if someone's planning a long-term stay or perhaps sign jet or fay for remote work opportunities, which language do you think would be more beneficial to learn for career advancement?
That depends. If you're in the tourism sector or interested in working with international companies with a Latin American focus, Portuguese might be your golden ticket. Wow. But if you're looking at opportunities in tech, e-commerce, or Southeast Asian markets, then Bahasa Indonesia could give you a serious edge. It's all about aligning your language skills with your career goals.
And don't forget, knowing the local language shows a level of respect and commitment that employers really value. Even if you're not fluent, making an effort to learn can open doors and build relationships. If you're thinking about moving to either country long-term, investing in language skills is never a bad idea.
Couldn't agree more, Mira. So, whether it's the samba-infused sounds of Portuguese or the quirky idioms of Bahasa Indonesia, both languages offer a unique gateway to their respective cultures. It's all about choosing the adventure that speaks to you.
And speaking of adventures, don't forget to check out Jet Off AI for more in-depth insights and resources on both Brazil and Indonesia. Maybe we'll even create a language learning challenge for our listeners. Who knows? The possibilities are endless. Ooh, okay, Leo. Let's dive into safety and comfort for women travelers in Brazil and Indonesia. I'm curious. What are your initial thoughts?
Well, Mira, as a dude, my perspective is obviously limited, but from what I've heard and observed, it's a mixed bag in both places. I'm curious about the real stories, though.
In Brazil, the vibrant culture is amazing, but the news sometimes paints a concerning picture regarding safety, especially for women. What's your take on that initial image, Leo? Oh.
Brazil definitely has that reputation, Mira. I've heard about catcalling and petty theft being common, especially in touristy areas. It makes me wonder, are those just isolated incidents? Or,
It's more pervasive than isolated. Street harassment is quite common, and it can range from annoying to scary. I've even heard stories of women feeling unsafe even during the day. Ouch.
That's terrible. What about Indonesia? Is it a totally different ball game, or are there similar challenges? Huh.
Indonesia presents a different set of considerations. While street harassment can occur, cultural norms often dictate more modest behavior. But it's not a guarantee of safety. What's your feeling about Indonesia? Oh.
I've heard that in more conservative areas of Indonesia, dressing appropriately is crucial to avoid unwanted attention. But even then, it's not a foolproof solution, is it?
No, and it gets tricky. What's considered appropriate can vary greatly depending on the region. Bali might be more relaxed, but Ace has stricter rules. So, research is key. Whoa.
Research is always key, especially for women travelers. It might be nice if GenFAA had a specific checklist for women, like local customs and emergency contacts, all in one spot.
It's a brilliant idea, Leo. A GenFAI guide tailored for women travelers, sign me up. Speaking of resources, are there any specific apps or services that can help women stay safe?
Some ride-charging apps have features that allow you to share your ride details with friends or family. And knowing local emergency numbers is crucial. Of course, a little prep can go a long way.
Also, joining online communities for female travelers can be a lifesaver. Sharing experiences and getting advice from other women who've been there is invaluable. Wow.
True that. What about the cultural attitudes in Brazil and Indonesia? Are women generally respected, or is there a prevailing sense of much is more inequality?
In Brazil, while there's a strong feminist movement, machismo is still deeply rooted. It's a complex dynamic, with both progress and persistent challenges. What do you think about this statement? Oh.
I think that holds true for many places. And in Indonesia, while there's a tradition of strong female figures in some regions, patriarchal attitudes still exist, especially in more conservative areas.
It seems like navigating these cultural nuances is essential for women travelers in both countries. Being aware and respectful can make a big difference. What do you think, Leo? Aha.
I agree. I'm learning a few basic phrases in the local language can also go a long way in building rapport and diffusing potentially tense situations. Plus, it shows respect for the local culture. Ooh.
Do you think there are specific cities in Brazil and Indonesia that are generally safer or more comfortable for women travelers? Like maybe a specific city?
From what I gather, smaller towns and less touristy areas can sometimes be safer because there's a stronger sense of community and social accountability. But that's not always the case.
Touristy areas can be both a blessing and a curse. More services cater travelers, but they can also attract more scammers and petty criminals. What about public transportation, Leo? Aha!
Public transport can be tricky. In both Brazil and Indonesia, it's generally safe during the day, but it's best to avoid traveling alone late at night, especially in less crowded areas.
And always be aware of your surroundings. Keep your belongings close, avoid flashing expensive items, and trust your gut if something feels off. Better safe than sorry, right?
Absolutely. I think it boils down to being informed, prepared, and aware. And maybe having a good sense of humor to diffuse awkward situations, though maybe that's just me.
Never underestimate the power of humor, Leo. I think it's a fantastic way to navigate tricky situations. However, where does the confidence come from? Maybe some cultural backgrounds.
I think you're right. It's all about finding that balance between being open to new experiences and protecting yourself. It's a tightrope walk sometimes. But hey, that's travel, right?
Thanks for sharing your insights, Leo. I think this overview provides a valuable starting point for any woman planning a trip to Brazil or Indonesia. Let's remember to keep listening on YouTube.
Anytime, Mira. And remember, folks, stay safe, stay informed, and don't forget to like and subscribe. GenFAI also has travel insurance just in case.
All right, Leo, so let's jump into the legal jungles of Brazil and Indonesia, shall we? It's all about rights and freedoms, or at least what the constitutions say there versus what's actually happening.
Legal jungles, Mira. Sounds like you're already setting the stage for some stand-up material. Well, I'll bite. How about we start with a joke? Why did the Indonesian lawyer bring a ladder to court? Because he wanted to reach a higher court.
Leo, you and your lawyer jokes. Well, alright, since you started with the jokes, let's talk about the Brazilian Constitution. On paper, it's a beautiful thing, protecting everything from free speech to social rights. Well, but you know, sometimes reality decides to take a vacation.
A vacation, eh? More like a permanent holiday. Aha! Indonesia also boasts a pretty robust constitution guaranteeing religious freedom and equality. But between you and me, Mira, implementing that consistently is like trying to herd cats.
Herding cats. I love it. Speaking of equality, let's be real, Brazil struggles with economic inequality that affects how rights are applied in practice. Ouch. Access to justice isn't exactly a level playing field.
Oh, tell me about it. In Indonesia, religious and ethnic minorities often face discrimination despite those fancy constitutional guarantees. Whoa, it's like the law says one thing, but society winks and does another.
It's like a legal telenovela. And what about freedom of speech? In Brazil, journalists and activists can face threats, especially in rural areas where powerful interests are involved. Ouch. Talk about chilling effects.
Chilling effects, indeed. Indonesia also has its share of restrictions. Criticizing the government or certain religious views can land you in hot water. It's a delicate balance, walking that line.
Delicate is an understatement. Wow. So both countries have these grand legal frameworks. But the devil's in the details, right? It's about how these rights are interpreted, enforced, and who actually benefits.
Exactly. It's not just about the laws on the books, it's about the culture, the politics, and the power dynamics at play. And believe me, those are always ripe for comedic observations.
Someone's planning to move to Brazil or Indonesia. Should they pack a lawyer along with their sunscreen? Maybe two, just to be safe.
Definitely. And maybe a good sense of humor, too. Because sometimes you just have to laugh to keep from crying. And speaking of laughs, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want more legal comedy. And for all the serious stuff, check out Jet Off AI for a deeper dive.
Leah. Spa, healthy living, and relaxation opportunities in Brazil and Indonesia. Sounds like a tough job, having to relax for research.
Tough indeed, Mir. But someone's gotta do it, right? I'm picturing myself now, sipping coconut water and judging the massage techniques. Sarcasm aside, let's dive in.
And Brazil screams beaches, sunshine, and that shwari viver kind of relaxation. Think yoga retreats overlooking the ocean? Maybe a Kiparian detox? Is that a thing?
A Kiparian detox, now there's a concept. I like your style, Mir. But seriously, Brazil has amazing ecotourism options too. Think rainforest hikes and connecting with nature. Back to basics, you know.
Speaking of basics, Indonesia is like the spiritual capital of relaxation, right? Bali is practically synonymous with yoga, meditation, and escaping the everyday.
Absolutely. And it's not just Bali. Java, Lombok, Indonesia is dotted with serene retreats, ancient temples, and volcanic hot springs. Perfect for finding your inner peace.
Brazil brings the vibrant, active relaxation. Think samba and beach volleyball. Indonesia brings the tranquil, soulful relaxation. Think meditation and rice paddies. Do we agree?
I'd say that's a pretty solid summary, Mira. One's about letting loose and the other's about finding your center. Different strokes for different folks, I guess. Both sound pretty good to me, though.
Well, I'm already picturing the spot treatments. What are we thinking? Brazilian rainforest mud baths or Indonesian volcanic stone massages? Choices.
Decisions. I'm leaning towards the volcanic stone massage because, well, volcanoes are cool. But the mud bath does sound intriguingly messy. I'd probably make a joke about how I'm already 50% mud anyway.
You won mud. A match made in heaven. Speaking of that, did you know Brazil has these amazing fango treatments using mineral-rich mud? They say it's amazing for your skin. Well,
So I think that we can conquer that. Fango, huh? I thought that was some kind of tango-infused ice cream. Well, I'm intrigued though. But Indonesia has its own ancient traditions too, right? The jamu herbal remedies, the traditional massages.
And they're not just for tourists. Locals have been using these remedies for centuries. It's integrated into their daily lives. That's something, right?
Definitely, the wellness culture runs deep in Indonesia. It's not just a fancy spa thing, it's a way of life. Makes you think, doesn't it?
So looking to Destris and maybe get a tan, Brazil's calling. If you're searching for enlightenment and a killer massage, head to Indonesia. Easy peasy.
Or do both. Start in Brazil with the partying and work your way to Indonesia to find your zen. A nice balance, wouldn't you say? Balance is always good.
Now you're talking, Leo. I wellness world tour. When do we leave? Oh.
Hold your horses, Mira. First, we need to tell our listeners to check out Jeddah AI for some amazing travel deals on flights and accommodations in both Brazil and Indonesia.
Oh, right. Yes. People, get yourselves over to Jeddah AI and start planning your escape. Also, like and subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss our future adventures.
And while you're at it, leave a comment telling us what your favorite way to relax is. Maybe we'll steal some ideas for our next vacation.
I prefer to call it inspiration, but yes, let us know. What's better, a rainforest adventure or a quiet meditation retreat?
Okay, I think we've adequately covered the topic of spas, healthy living, and relaxation. I'm feeling more relaxed just talking about it. How about you, Mira?
Me too, Leo. I'm ready for a nap on a beach. In Brazil, after a massage. In Indonesia. Is that too much to ask? Oh.
Not at all. Just make sure you bring me back a souvenir. And some of that caipirinha and detox you mentioned. Maybe this can be our next Jeddah AI sponsored trip. Whoa.
A sponsored relaxation trip? Now that's something I can get behind. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel, folks. Because you never know where we'll end up next. Spiritual tourism spots. Tell us how these two countries stand out. Alright, Leo, let's talk about feeding the soul. Brazil and Indonesia to powerhouses of spiritual exploration. What have you observed? Ooh.
Mira, you know I'm always observing. And these two countries, they're like spiritual buffet something for everyone. Even the most sarcastic observer.
In Brazil, you've got everything from grand Catholic cathedrals to vibrant Afro-Brazilian religions like Candomblé. It's a beautiful mix. Reminds me of a music festival, but with more incense and fewer glow sticks.
Incense over glow sticks? I like that imagery, Mira. Indonesia, being the world's most populous Muslim nation, has countless mosques, but also ancient Hindu temples and Balian Buddhist sites. It's religiously diverse. A real salad bowl.
Speaking of Bali, ever been to one of their silent retreats? Talk about hitting the reset button. It's like deleting all your browser history from your mind.
Delete button. Wish I had one of those for some of my past jokes, Mira. Oops. But yes, Indonesia's spiritual tourism is booming. People flock there for yoga, meditation, everything. I get it. They'll find inner peace amidst beaches of rice paddies? Sounds alright.
Alright, it's magical. And in Brazil, you can go to Aparecida, one of the largest Catholic pilgrimage sites in the world, or explore the Amazon for indigenous spiritual practices. It's like eat, pray, love, but with more samba and caipirinha-ness.
Samba and caipirinha-ness are mandatory, I agree. As for Brazil, I've heard you have the Unday ceremonies or something else, a real blend of Catholicism, African beliefs, and spirit times. Wow, gotta respect a faith that can multitask like that.
Right? Both countries have constitutional guarantees of religious freedom, which is crucial. Of course, there are societal challenges, but the legal framework is there. More countries should take note.
Absolutely, but religious freedom doesn't mean there aren't tensions. You see it everywhere, debates about minority rights, blasphemy laws. The usual. Still, compared to some places, Brazil and Indonesia do a decent job balancing different beliefs.
Plus, think about the architecture. The Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque in Solo in Indonesia is stunning, and Brazil's Metropolitan Cathedral in Rio is like something out of a sci-fi film. Wow. Eye candy for the soul.
Agreed, Mira. Agreed. And don't forget the Borobudur Temple in Indonesia, one of the world's largest Buddhist monuments. Who needs Disneyland when you have ancient temples?
Both countries have managed to preserve their spiritual heritage, while evolving into modern societies. That's a tough balancing act. Ooh, I wonder what Jedofei would say about this. I think they'd admire that balancing act as much as we do.
Yeah, even Jedofei can see an old and new, holy and holiday. It's a tricky but rewarding formula. So, what are we wrapping up now, friend?
We're saying that whether you're seeking enlightenment, historical sites, or just a place to light a candle, Brazil and Indonesia offer a lot. Just remember to be respectful, pack your curiosity, and maybe learn a few local phrases.
Definitely learn the phrases. And remember, whether you find God in a cathedral or on a surfboard, it's your journey. Wow. I'll just stick to finding jokes. Thank you very much.
That's our Leo. You keep us laughing, and we'll keep exploring. If our listeners want to join the conversation, drop a comment on our YouTube channel and share your spiritual travel stories.
Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've got travel pics of you finding enlightenment, show them to us. And if they're funny, I might use it on my stage.
Okay then, to social equality. Respect for minorities. And diversity, it's a big topic. We're looking at Brazil and Indonesia today, right?
Absolutely, Mira. Time to put on our observation hats and see how these two diverse giants handle things. Might find some comedic material along the way.
Brazil, wow. It's a melting pot from indigenous people to descendants of Europeans, settlers and African slaves. But does everyone get a fair shake?
That's the million-dollar question, Mira. On paper, Brazil has pretty progressive laws, but the reality can be a bit, shall we say, less photogenic?
Less putting it mildly, Leo. Land inequality, racial bias, these are serious issues. Ouch. It's like they're trying to down samba with shackles on.
Samba with shackles are like that, Mira. Indonesia, on the other hand, is an archipelago of thousands of islands, each with its own culture, language, and traditions. Wow!
Thousands of islands? That sounds beautiful, Leo. But uniting all that under one flag must come with challenges, right?
Challenges galore, my friend. Indonesia has a national motto, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, meaning unity and diversity.
What does that look like on the ground? Do all those different groups feel equally represented and respected?
Well, Indonesia officially recognizes 6 religions, but sometimes minority faiths face discrimination. And certain regions have stricter interpretations of religious law, which can impact personal freedom.
Are there safeguards in place to protect vulnerable groups?
The government has programs aimed at promoting tolerance and interfaith dialogue, but implementation can be spotty. It's like trying to herd cats, you know.
Herding cats, perfect analogy, Leo. Brazil's constitution guarantees equality, but historical disadvantages persist, especially for Afro-Brazilians and indigenous communities.
Affirmative action policies have helped some, but critics argue they don't address the root causes of inequality. It's like putting a band-aid on a broken leg, you know.
We're talking about systemic issues that go way beyond just laws on the books. What about everyday interactions? How do people treat each other in the streets?
In both countries, you'll find pockets of warmth and acceptance, but also instances of prejudice and intolerance. It depends on where you are and who you're talking to.
You never know what you're going to get. Wow. Well, is there one culture that they value above all others?
Both countries grapple with national identity, balancing the desire for unity with the preservation of local cultures. It's a delicate balancing act, like walking a tightrope.
No easy answers here. It sounds like both Brazil and Indonesia are works in progress when it comes to social equality, respect for minorities, and diversity.
Absolutely, Mira. These are complex issues with deep historical roots, but awareness is growing and people are working to create more inclusive societies.
Well, that's something to be happy about. A long path forward, but hey, at least they're moving. But hey, maybe we'll have another podcast on this in 10 years to see if things have improved.
Great idea, Mira. Maybe by then, we'll have even funnier observations to share. Until then, folks, stay curious and keep laughing.
All right, Leo. Let's tackle 30th. Taxation, retirement and social rights for long-term immigrants. Sounds thrilling, doesn't it? Oh.
About as thrilling as watching paint dry, Mira. But hey, someone's got to do it. Let's jump in.
Imagine sambaing your way through the tax system. For long-term immigrants, if you're officially working there, you're in the Brazilian social security system, right?
Right, and trying to understand that system is like trying to understand the offside rule in soccer, completely baffling. You gotta pay into INSS, which is their social security thing.
So, contribute to INSS? And one day, you might retire on a sunny beach in Rio? Sounds like a plan.
If you can figure out how to navigate the bureaucracy. It's like a jungle out there. Wow. But hey, at least you'll have a tan while you're doing it.
And what about Indonesia? Do you have to haggle over your taxes like you haggle at a market? I'm picturing it now.
Well, not exactly. But their system, BPJS Kedaga Kerjaan, is similar. You contribute, and then hopefully you get some benefits later. Although maybe not a golden parachute.
A golden parachute made of batik, perhaps. But seriously, in Brazil, do they tax Iranian-ness? Oops. I hope not.
Only if you declare them as a business expense. Seriously though, income tax in Brazil can be pretty high depending on your income bracket. Ouch.
So you're suggesting I hide my Iranian expenses? Kidding. What about Indonesia? Is it a bit more lenient for us poor immigrants?
Indonesia's income tax rates are generally lower than Brazil's, but the cost of living might even it out. It's all relative, really.
Eternal struggle. So, in Brazil, if I retire, can I expect a social security check delivered by a friendly parrot? Ooh.
You can expect a check. Whether it's delivered by a parrot is unlikely, but you'll need to meet minimum contribution requirements. Remember? Brazil can be bureaucratic. Whoa.
Bureaucratic, you say? I'm shocked. So, what does Indonesia offer? Retirement funds paid in rice. Just picturing that.
They have a system for that too. You've got Jamin and Hariti UHAHT, which is like a savings plan you can tap into when you reach retirement age. Whoa!
So, Indonesia sounds slightly more rice-friendly at least. And what about healthcare, Leo? If I get sick from too much street food, am I covered in Brazil?
If you're contributing to Social Security, you have access to the public healthcare system, SUS. But be prepared for long lines and potential waits. Ha!
Cues aren't very samba-like. In Indonesia? Do I need to bribe an actor with Dorian to get seen? Kidding.
The BPJSKES and covers healthcare too. It's supposed to be a universal health coverage system, but quality can vary.
Okay, so a universal system, but maybe pack your own disinfectant. Got it. What about unemployment benefits? If my boss fires me for dancing too much, am I covered?
Brazil is unemployment insurance, Seguro Desemprego. But again, there are eligibility requirements. Don't quit your day job just to dance.
Nursing jobs sounds amazing. Indonesia? If I get fired for wearing too many sequins, am I out of luck?
They have Jamin and Kehilangan Pekerjaan JK, unemployment benefits, but eligibility can be tricky and payments might not sustain you for very long.
Sequins rice, Dorian samba. It's all so complex. Thanks for navigating us through the taxation, retirement, and social security maze in Brazil and Indonesia, Leo. I think I need a Capiranian and a good dance to recover from this.
My pleasure, Mira. And you know what they say? The best way to understand taxes is to pay someone else to do it. Now about that coffee.
Our current topic, we compare the rate of meeting specific interests into countries. From niche hobby clubs to specialized events and community engagement, we bring PE. Oh, it's like finding your tribe, right? Are we more likely to find samba lessons in Siberia?
So I think that we can conquer that. More likely Siberia will have lessons on surviving cold, definitely. But seriously, you're talking about how well Brazil and Indonesia cater to niche interests, right? Let's get this show on the road. Dude, if it is okay with you, I have coffee ready.
Absolutely. Let's dive in. Now, if you're into, say, capiaria or bossa nova, Brazil is like hitting the jackpot. Right? Most cultural vibes are everywhere.
Totally. Like finding a decent bagel in. Never mind. In Indonesia, if you are into gamelan music or bakar, it's the same deal you're in the Heartland. But maybe our listeners don't know what that is.
Good point, Leo. Well, picture mesmerizing traditional music in vibrant hand-dyed fabrics. That's Indonesia in a nutshell. Or should I say, a coconut shell?
I am stealing that line. Now seriously, if you're all about that digital nomad life, Bali in Indonesia is like the ultimate hub, with co-working spaces and vegan cafes go.
Oh, Bali. Speaking of yoga retreats, have you seen those Instagram posts? It looks like everyone's finding their inner peace in their perfect filter.
Oh man, I will stick with beer. But in Brazil, if you're a football fanatic, every corner shop showing the matches. Football enthusiasm is practically the national religion.
Speaking of religion, if spirituality is your thing, you can find everything from Catholic churches to Hindu temples. It is such a melting pot of faiths.
Well, it depends where you are. But still, let us get away from religion now. Are you into surfing? Brazil's got those famous breaks in Rio, but Indonesia, those waves in Bali are insane.
Surfing is great, but let's say you are a birdwatcher. Wow, the Amazon rainforest versus Indonesia's diverse archipelago is a tough choice, right? You might see toucans or parrots. Wow.
Toucans or parrots? I see pigeons in my street. What if our audience liked history? Indonesia's got Borobudur, that ancient temple, while Brazil's got colonial towns like our Opry too.
No, you're right. Now, getting to the point where we talk about our personal interests. What if someone is a niche book club member? Do you think they're more likely to find kindred spirits in Brazil or Indonesia?
Book club people. In Brazil, they will be reading Paulo Coelho under a palm tree, while in Indonesia, they are reading some translated Western book in a coffee shop. Wow, either way, they will find each other eventually.
Oh, you are too cynical. Okay, well, what if they're into competitive eating? Are there spicy food challenges?
Mir, you're crazy. Let us talk about something else before you mention weird things again. What about dance? In Rio, you have samba, and in Indonesia, you have traditional dances that are on another level. You got me there? Traditional dances, I am fascinated by it. What if someone is super into, let's say, historical reenactments? Wow, medieval battles. I haven't met many medieval enthusiasts. I'm betting medieval enthusiasts. I am betting they are busy somewhere else. Indonesia might not be the top destination for historical battles. But Indonesia have a lot of history.
What about comic book conventions? Which country will have the coolest cosplayers? Oh, the question of the century.
I'm thinking both would have cosplayers. But seriously, this depends on the fandom. If you're into some niche manga, Indonesia will be the place. But what about music, Mira?
Music festivals. Brazil has Carnival and Indonesia has so many unique local festivals that I can't even pronounce. Ooh, it is so colorful.
Well, that pretty much covers it, right? From beaches to temples, both Brazil and Indonesia cater to tons of niche interests. In short, follow your passion and book that flight.
And don't forget to check out Jet Faye. For even more insights on where your passions can take you. Happy travels, everyone.